Alright, should be back again for part 2 of what was discontinued by Linux this time. Not intentionally. Okay, unlike the moderators at Reddit. So just going to continue reading a thread at Reddit that they only let the discussion happen for, like an hour and a half. And then they had to close the conversation because we can't have this conversation. You can't force science to account for itself. They're just despicable cowards. So anyway, so we're back at some guy who posts a link to an actual video this time. So his first link wasn't anything. His second link is actually a video I've played. It's a Bruce Journey video. And but it doesn't have any, there's no measurements taken in the video at all. So nothing is measured. And the only thing measured is the speed of the balls, and then that's left ambiguous that somehow they're a little bit off. But there's no measurements of anything. So the video really is kind of useless. It doesn't show anything. And again, this is the rolling distance argument anyway. So the rolling distance argument isn't about how far it rolls. It does roll twice as far, just like you can drop something 4 times the height in gravity. The argument is that does it collect 4 units of gravity, or is it only in the gravity for 2 units of time? And the fact is then rolling distance and rolling twice as far, it's only rolling for twice the distance. It's only making contact with the surface for twice the time. Therefore, it's only twice the friction. There's only twice the energy, not 4 times the energy. So it doesn't resolve the argument at all. These experiments are useless. You need a joule tank type experiment. You need some experiment where you actually crush something, like crushing clay or something. You need a spring experiment. You need some experiment where you can have some hope of being able to demonstrate that you're actually collecting the force, the energy the object has. So you actually have to collect it somehow in a way where you're assured of what you're collecting. So anyway, so yeah, just verifying that yes, the video was of no value. So again, another link provided, but nothing. So potential energy scales linearly with height. So if you measure the velocity of a ball when it hits the ground and do so at different starting heights. So this is all stuff, like I said, everybody already knows this. The fact that you drop something from 4 times its height doesn't mean that it collected 4 times the gravity, especially when it's only in the gravity twice as long. It only takes twice the time to fall 4 times the distance. And the argument is gravity a time-dependent force or a distance-dependent force? And I'd say the overwhelming evidence is that Newton and Galileo certainly knew it was a time-dependent force, not a distant-dependent force. All right, so this other asshole, they're all assholes. I mean, that's something, it's just universal. Everyone who comments is an asshole. Okay, first, oh shit, I lost that guy. Sorry, what happened? First, you don't need that. Newton's laws and some energy formula are so well known and fundamental, we don't even cite their resources anymore. So we know there isn't any resources to cite. We know the history doesn't have any experiments in it. So again, it's just a big fraudy kind of statement to say, oh yeah, well, it's so obvious and everybody knows it for the truth that we don't bother showing anybody evidence anymore. You never had any evidence and you still have no evidence. That's the absolute truth. Second, you can make any 2 things collide. First, assume kinetic energy is related to mv squared. Well, why would I do that? Why would I make that assumption? Then to v, or to v, I don't know if that's cubed. I can't read it. Then you'll see that the conserved quantity is related to v squared. No, I won't see that. That's the whole point. It won't show up in the experiments. It won't show up in a ballistic pendulum. It won't show up in a lever. It won't show up in pulleys. It won't show up in, again, rockets. It doesn't show up. You're saying it's true, and you've proven it with what? Bowling alleys? You didn't prove it on bowling alleys because it doesn't work there either. You can also set up an explosion experiment. So with explosives mass m and 4m, then compare how they literally go. And yeah, we have already done that. I mean, the irony is, I actually have that experiment right here, right? I think this is it. No, that's that. Image 11. Yeah, there it is. All right, so we have the experiment right there, 4-to-1. We have exactly the same force being applied for exactly the same amount of time. One object gets 1 velocity, the other object gets 4 times the velocity. Completely consistent with conservation of momentum. So, and again, these people just keep preaching this crap that isn't true. They say, go do the experiment. Well, there's the experiment right there. I don't need to do it. It's already been done. But, yeah, it's just such bullshit. All right, continuing. You can also, or throw a ball in the air with known velocity. So again, yeah, and what does that prove? So again, they're going to argue that because it goes 4 times the distance, but only half the time, that somehow that proves it did 4 times the work. When, no, that's not what it proves. All right. So it's so the guy says, first, you don't need that Newton. And I said, I would claim you never cited any credible resources. The history is laughably unevidenced. And he says, second, you can make any 2 things collide. And I said, I won't see it in a physical experiment. Okay, and he says, I'm going to see that it's related to v squared. And I said, I won't see it in a physical experiment because I haven't seen any my whole life. You can also set up an explosion experiment. Okay, and I said, I have seen this experiment, and the one mass travels with 4 times as fast. So it proves momentum's conservation, not kinetic energy's conservation. Or throw a ball in the air, known velocity. And I said, gravity is clearly a time dependent. You get 9.8 meters per second of increased velocity in 1 second units of time. So why don't you do the kinetic energy? Why do you doubt kinetic energy is related to v squared? And the simple answer is because in my 66 years on this planet, I've seen 0 real physical evidence. And that's just an absolute fact. All right, so this jerk, Reddit Henry again, F equals ma, so you're just doing the same thing. These things are not the same. Ke equals 1/2 mv squared. Well, I don't know how they're not the same, but fine. In the real world, you need to balance decelerating forces too. So say friction, air resistance, lift, etc. So all of this stuff has nothing to do with any of these experiments. Certainly doesn't have anything to do with a lever. You end up in a system where, for example, a falling object. So again, I could say, and I end up with a lever that perfectly balances with a 4 mass going 1v and a 1 mass going 4v. That's the absolute truth. I end up with a lever that perfectly balances doing that. You're not showing me experiments. All right, can you link me to an experiment showing something going 9 times the energy going 3 times as fast? Something like 9 times the energy to go 3 times as fast. Okay, and he says you could do literally any experiment. So it's amazing. Because K equals 1/2 mv squared is a fundamental classical kinetic energy law. So they're saying it, but there's no evidence of it. It can't collect it in a ballistic pendulum, can't collect it in any inelastic collision ever. Can't use it to move a rocket. Can't use it in pulleys, can't use it on levers, can't use it on a balance. And yet he insists it's true. And there's just 0 evidence. Okay, if you could directly measure the energy, drive a car at 10... So again, it's my job to prove their God doesn't exist. They don't have to show anything. They don't have to drive a car. They don't have to test anything. So I did point out the Mythbusters in another comment thread. But anyway, it's just amazing. All right, if you could directly measure the energy, drive a car 10 I guess that's kilometers per hour, then drive it at 20 kilometers, and it should have 4 times the energy. Yes, and so the fact is there's no evidence of that. The Mythbusters did that experiment, doesn't work. All right, one simple way to do it, throw a ball up. Oh, see, he's doing the same thing again, throwing the ball up in the air. No point. Alternatively, you could control the launch energy, launch it with 10 joules, then 20 joules of energy upwards. You'll find that 20 joule launch gives you like 40% increase in height, says you. All right. So, there's just no evidence of that either. So he's just telling me what the experiment came out. He's saying I used twice the energy, and I only made the thing go 40% increase in height. So he's doing the 1.4 thing again. He's saying somehow you don't have to conserve momentum on a lever, for example. So even though you have to conserve momentum, you don't have to conserve momentum. I mean, this is their fake physics. All right, so this was a bunch of mush this guy typed, so I don't think I'll read it all. Energy is connected to work or force times distance, and so it's all the same bullshit. So he says here, apply a force for 1 second. The object moves 0.1 meter. The velocity is 11 meters per second. It says you. Okay, apply a force for another 1 second. The object moves another 1.1 meter, and the velocity is now 12 meters per second. When no, it isn't. It's 22 meters per second. So again, this is just nonsense. This isn't anything real this guy's typing. All right, so I said, I'm seeking examples of physical experimental evidence. The Mythbusters crashed the same car at 50 miles an hour and 100 miles an hour. The 100 mile an hour car was only twice as crushed. Can you provide a link to any physical experimental evidence showing your calculations to be true? And so it says twice as crushed. How is your measurement justified? Question mark. I don't even know. That's not a sentence, right? Yeah, it's not even a sentence. Also, it makes sense for it to be crushed exactly twice the first amount. So why would it make sense? So now they're arguing it's 4 times the power, but it only crushes twice as much, and that makes sense somehow. 4 times the energy looks like twice the energy. Looks just exactly like twice the energy, right? So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Because crushing energy, oversimplified, is also related to x squared. It says you it is. Okay, x is the amount of displacement of what? So since E equals 1/2 mv, 4 times, it was 4 times, it went to 2x for the energy to be 4x squared. Do you follow your own logic? Well, it's obviously not my logic, and I state that. All right, so I say, how is your measurement justified? I answered, it was a TV show. They showed it, and then they said it. Okay, also, it makes sense for it to be crushed exactly twice, and I say, that stuff wasn't my logic, so by your logic, twice the force should only make twice the velocity? Question mark. All right, in the TV episode, they also crushed clay and got the same, only twice the crushing results. So I just pointed out that they also crushed the clay, and it also showed no evidence of kinetic energy. All right, so this is the same guy responding, so the thread was already closed before I could respond to this comment. All right, the logic isn't owned by me or you, whatever that means. You are busting your ass so hard to beat very fundamental things. So this isn't even, I mean, they can't even bother typing a real sentence. You are busting your ass so hard to beat very fundamental things, and saying you can't do experiment yourself. I'm saying you don't have to prove your God theory. You don't have to provide any physical evidence whatsoever. You can just proclaim the truth, and I must believe, or I am subject to your insults. Oh, fuck you. All right. Then say there's no physical experiment to show it. Yes, you don't have any physical experiment. That's what I'm asking you to produce, is a single physical experiment. Do it yourself. Say amazing. What makes it non-physical when you do it? No, the point is you're making the assertion. You're making a claim. I'm saying your claim has no evidence. You're saying my claim has no evidence. I'm saying I got Mythbusters, I got this or that. I got some evidence. I got a lever. I showed that balancing perfectly. Where's your counter evidence? The logic is this. Well, this is bullshit, so I'm not even going to say it. Since both are related to square of their velocity, that's what you keep saying. There's no point in repeating your same lie, shithead. So again, he has no evidence. It's the bottom line. Let's give them numbers. It's just pointless. Let's keep everything constant. Yeah, so this is just the same gibberish, bullshit, fake math. So it's just a lie. So this guy says, I don't really believe in experiments. Yeah, seriously, somewhat. And then he has a laughing winky sign. So that's understanding pursuit. Yeah, whatever that even could possibly mean. So this is the jackass that typed all this crap. I asked him for some physical evidence, and he says he doesn't really believe in evidence. So who does science without believing in evidence? I mean, how do you possibly do something called science without believing in evidence? How could that make any sense to anyone on this fucking planet? You do science by not believing in evidence. All right, so I don't know what the consequences is of this, right? So that's what I guess I'm gonna find out is that I have every right to post a similar question, right? I mean, there was no reason given here for why this question was nullified, except gibberish. I mean, clearly there was nothing about the question that was in any way inappropriate or not worthy of the conversation it provoked. It's a perfectly valid scientific inquiry to question a science and say, show me your evidence. So that's what they're really saying is you can't ask science to show evidence. So maybe that's what I'll make the next comment about. Can it be called science if it won't show evidence? No, it can't be. Let's see what this asshole says. Warning fairy. I don't really much care for that name. I'm not sure if you have done this, but there are multiple threads about you on Reddit other than this one. There's no thread about me on here. But, I mean, I have an account now, so if you're saying there's a reasonable thread, that would be great. But is it a thread about physics? I mean, I'm not going to waste my time arguing that I didn't commit crimes that I never committed, okay? I'm not going to waste my time defending myself against very fake accusations. In fact, it appears Blue Moonshine has been operating multiple Reddit accounts slandering you and has created an entire subreddit. So that just proves my point, right? They can create all of this noise and all of this harassment sounds, but you can't argue physics. I just want to argue fucking goddamn physics, and they won't let me. And the point is nothing's going to change until you assholes, sorry audience, you have to do something, right? What else am I supposed to fucking goddamn do? Right? So until the audience actually demands the science shape up and do better, nothing's going to change. So all these people who are my critics, what they have to be is really supporters of evidence creation. And they're not. And that's what's really missing. Why should any science thread, or any science group ever be afraid of being interrogated on the integrity of their science? Why should they be afraid of those questions? Let's see, I found this out a while ago and tried to email you about it, but it appears you never got it. Well, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I tell you the truth, I don't think I was terribly interested in a Reddit thread because, frankly, I didn't have an account. And I don't have much respect for any of these crappy forums because none of the participants really demand that they don't become censoring assholes. I mean, what's the fuck of this insane excessive moderation? What is the fucking point? I mean, if you can't argue, what's the fucking point? This is a childish nonsense. They just want you to show up as some 6-year-old and say, please, Daddy, tell me how it works. I'm too stupid. Please tell me what you know and what you think. But you can't argue with these fucking lame pieces of crap. And this is the world. The fucking world has been chosen this way. None of you people have the balls to defend your beliefs. You just want to be fascist and you want your side to win. And you don't care how it wins. It's pathetic. All right, let's see. LOL, welcome to Reddit. All the mods are power tripping. I don't know how they get to be mods, though. That's the point. How'd they get there? Who gave them the power? Who runs this shithole? You know, where some douchebag, okay, who closes a thread because he's losing the argument. And that's the only reason why the thread was closed is because they don't have the evidence. They can't just sit there and show me a link to their fucking evidence that somehow generators need to be spun 25 times as fast to make 5 times the electricity. Yeah, they don't have that evidence because it's preposterously silly shit. It's just disappointing. So well, let's see if anybody has a Reddit account. So if you have a Reddit account, send me an email or leave a comment. Yeah, leave a comment. And maybe you can post one of these questions so they can't just blame it all on me and try to weasel out of it. Is there fair questions? I mean, it's just silly to have to argue this stuff over and over. But I mean, you know, well, whatever. It's just the world's silly, corrupt and evil and nasty and shitty and all kinds of terrible things. All right. So far, I didn't see that they penalized me in any way. They just closed the thread, so I don't know what that means. You know, I don't know what the next step will be. You know, they don't say you get strikes. They don't say anything. You know, how does this moderating thing work? And you know, again, it just demonstrates that they're all just such cowards. Disgusting. I mean, these are like, look at these the competing questions, you know. Oh, this is some cartoon. Okay. How far back can I go in time before my modern math skills are incomprehensible? So that's supposed to be some kind of rational statement. Is high school physics as bad as people say it is? So what does that make sense? How does that even make sense? A dumb doubt about Newton's third law of motion. What was a dumb doubt? Let's see what this is. Hi, I'm a high school student, and while studying, I stumbled upon a thought. So, according to the third law, which is every action has an equal and opposite reaction, if every force has an equal and opposite reaction, why unbalanced forces exist? Well, where's unbalanced forces? Shouldn't every force always be canceled out by the reaction? So I tried finding the solution, but just say when the resulting force acting on a body is not equal to zero, the force is known as unbalanced. There's no such thing as an unbalanced force. You can have an unbalanced circumstance, but you can't have an unbalanced. The force itself can't be unbalanced. So it's just stupid. I can shoot you with a cannon, and you can shoot me back with a gun. You think the forces? Yeah, that's unbalanced forces. There's no law that says there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction to the cannonball that's going to equal the gun. That's not going to happen. All right. I made a Reddit post 5 months ago. If you want to find the thread where I brought you up for discussion. Yeah, well, I don't know how I find the thread exactly, but whatever. I have to find it. Yeah, I don't know if I want to find the thread. I don't like Reddit, frankly. I don't even know. Look at this. I just click something and all of a sudden I'm in this horseshit, whatever this is, some kind of commercial. Fuck. The whole thing is covered with these fake commercials, these hidden commercials. So let's see. This is about. So it's about inertia? Question mark. No, inertia is a different one than Newton's laws. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. Yeah, you're right, because it has a magical inertia. Let's see. Without external applied, so they're doing this whole without external forces applied, and there's no definition of what an external force even is. They're just so fucking full of shit. So obviously bullets are, this guy said bullets, and so obviously bullets are a pretty poor example. They don't produce equal and opposite. Thank you. Thought it's going to be difficult for me to refer to flagellants as anything other than firing bullets for a while. Well, we see where their brains are. These fucking cowards. Applying two different objects. So nothing rational here. I guess this might be a thing to do, is just to see what they post and read through these inane and retarded comments by these fucking morons. Let's see. The horse and cart problem helps explain this. A horse pulls a cart, and in response the cart pulls back on the horse with the same magnitude but opposite direction. How does the cart go forward then? The horse Of course. The hooves of the horse apply backward force on the ground, and the ground pushes forward on the horse. So that's just silly, right? We know the ground doesn't push forward on the horse. No. It just stops the horse from going backwards. So anyway, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, you're not getting shot up in the air by gravity right now. You're not bouncing off the gravity. Okay, you get pushed back a certain amount, and that's it. If that external force on the horse is larger than the back pull of the cart, blah blah blah. So this isn't explaining his point, which is an unbalanced force, and there's no such thing as an unbalanced force. So all forces act in action-reaction pairs on separate systems. Yes, as long as one of those forces are unbalanced, they change the state of motion. So there's no unbalanced force. So again, he keeps missing the point. Let's see, a good question to run past. They'll think you're astronauts, and they throw an object forward, they move back slightly, but they have much less mass than the object. The backward motion will be difficult to observe. Well, the point is it'll be perhaps impossible to observe because it won't happen. So again, they're still not recognizing that if something doesn't move, like an anvil, and something bounces off of it, it doesn't mean the energy went in both places, that twice the energy went into the anvil. It didn't happen. Things reflect. Reflections are a real thing, and when things reflect, it means the energy didn't get absorbed. But whatever. See, at least this is a good discussion, right? It's a valid question. They'll discuss this one, but they won't discuss mine. So it's okay to discuss the third law's applicability to different circumstances that they're bringing up, but you can't answer my questions. Alright, let's see if there's some other one. Let's see, why Newton's laws fail when an object is close to the source of very strong gravity. Why would Newton's laws fail? See, that's a funny thing. There's no reason why somebody would say they fail. Who says so? I mean, whoever, they just make up this shit and people believe it, and then they say, obviously that's a good question because, why would you believe it in the first place? There's no reason to think that the force of gravity or the force of magnetism or even the electrostatic forces somehow change because they obey the inverse square law. So that doesn't make any sense. Can someone explain to me why Newton's law, why Einstein thought Newton's law of gravity was? I wonder what I don't want to click on it. It's not a complete sentence, but we can, I guess. See if it's something. No, this is a whole big giant. Look at this huge amount of crap this guy typed. Let's see. Einstein thought Newton's law of gravity was problematic. There wasn't anything wrong with it. That's the whole point. Einstein just wanted to reinvent. He wanted to make it his own. He didn't have a good reason to find fault with Newton's concept of gravity because Newton didn't even have a concept of it. And Einstein didn't propose one either. There's no mechanism. Einstein didn't produce a mechanism for gravity. There's no mechanism. There's some made-up mystical angel force. Some bent geodesical thingy that pushes things some magical way. Or pulls on them, which is even more magical. Oh, it's just so silly. The speed limit is built out of such... again, it's the logic of if you can only pedal so fast, the bicycle can only go so fast. You can't go faster than you can pedal. Without going down a hill or something. It's just the speed limit makes perfectly good sense that all the forces move the speed of light, then that's the fastest you could ever push something because the forces have to do the pushing. To even have to go over that over and over again. But all this I have to go over and over again. It doesn't matter. There's just not... I can't believe after all this time not a single science person, a person with a degree, a person who's been educated at college, can simply concede that this physics is incomplete. That they really haven't proven this quadratic increase in something called actual energy. They haven't proven that it's ever conserved or made use of. You can't move a water wheel faster. You can't spray water out of a hose faster and make it more energy. You can't create more capacity to move things. Moving things requires momentum. And that's all you can use to move something, is to give it momentum. You have to lose momentum, it gains the momentum. It's a pure bowling ball circumstance. Whatever energy the bowling ball loses, the pins gain. Period. There's nothing else to understand. And the fact that these people can't concede their physics doesn't prove Newton wrong, and it certainly doesn't prove that 8-pound balls going 16 miles an hour have twice the energy of 16-pound balls going 8. Let's see, I posted a thread 5 months ago, and the moderator deleted my thread for asking about arguments made by you, so I don't know if it will be searchable. Yeah, well, there's no point. If you can't continue the conversation, there's no point. The whole point is to beat it to death until you get them to admit there's no evidence. That's the whole point. They don't want to give you the opportunity to do that. They don't want you to be able to prove they can't prove their theory. They have no evidence to defend their theory. They can't show you. Okay, and that's the truth. And that's why they're really, weak and pathetic, as this is the definition of science, and it's the definition is religion. This isn't science, this is religion. We're arguing with religious fanatics. I'm arguing with religious fanatics. So let's see, why are Newton's formulas? Well, obviously they're not formulas, considered laws, and Einstein's formulas considered theories. Well, that's just silly talk. Let's see, the problem that made me fall in love with physics. Well, you should just tell me what the problem is. Yeah, that's just not interesting. For someone like me, should he read the Principia? You can't read the Principia. It's really not a good read. Gravity is a curvature in space-time, but how exactly? Well, no, they're not going to explain that. Can somebody explain the physics behind this? So again, I wish these titles were more descriptive. How does Newton's law of gravity fit in with general relativity? Well, it doesn't. Obviously, the first argument Newton made in the Principia was to prove the argument that relativity is nonsense. That there's no way to defend this idea that somehow everything can be thought of as always some sort of relative motion, that there's no such thing as absolute space. And the argument is pretty simple. Spinning things proves it. Spinning things proves that you can't make a silly argument that spinning the entire universe would make something rise or fall, or would make something shoot outwards or up the side of a bucket. So, Newton's bucket experiment was a pretty solid proof demonstrating that relative motion doesn't work when you're spinning something. Why don't we have physics making breakthroughs? Scale of Einstein. That's so silly. There's no breakthroughs there. A page from Einstein's Relativity. Who cares? Let's see. What if gravity satisfies Newton's equations not because space-time is curved? Oh, it's because some kind of bullshit about how the Earth is getting bigger. Theory of relativity is a theory. So this is 11 years ago? Oh my god, I didn't even realize they were showing me stuff that's 11 years old. Fuck. Yeah, that's a little bit too ridiculous. That's stunningly not interesting. Alright, so you have to go to this thing and say sort by newest. Yeah, fuck. Some career advice. Oh, that's brilliant. I'm losing my mind in physics. So that's a great title. Let's see. This is just a general post about how I personally feel as a STEM student. Also, sorry in advance if it sounds whiny. I think I'm just going through it this semester. I'm hoping maybe someone can relate or perhaps has advice. This week I felt like I tried to get myself to do everything and ended up feeling lost. Several times I planned out my day. It didn't go as expected. I freaked out and mentally punished myself for it. I ended up turning in my homework late because I got so stuck on irrelevant details it didn't matter. God, this is amazing drivel. Context: I have ADHD and I've been diagnosed by several different doctors, but I hate it. I keep hoping it's a lie, especially because I know how social media has made... Oh, this goes on and on. Yes, this is whiny crap, buddy. Oh, fuck. Half my brain was eaten by a crocodile, but I still want to be a physicist. You can't be a physicist, okay? Just, if you're going to sit there and whine that your brain doesn't work, it's probably not too good for you to challenge it to do something exceptional. Alright, anyway, can DM and DE be two sides of the same coin? Well, that's really interesting. Dark matter and dark... They couldn't even spell out dark matter and dark energy. Some thought questions about defrosting a freezer. Okay, so that's really a waste of time. Anyone here who has done a BS physics through the Open University and as a 19-year-old I be seen as lazy, not smart enough, I have chosen this route. Let's see. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm seeking an insane amount of validation. Yes, you sound like an idiot already. Yes, you're just a waste of time. How would an object complete rest experience time? So that's another waste of time. The same way everything in the universe experiences time. Time happens because the universe is happening. You can measure time by how many photons are hitting me right now. I'm always being hit by the clock. The clock is the universe. The clock isn't inside me. The clock is the universe. I'm so happy and excited right now. Ooh, that's scary. I just got my first internship. Brother. Choose me, summer intern. Step forward, grad actually first, intern. Yeah, it doesn't say what subject. So who cares? Why does 2D Bohmian motion eventually hit every point, but 3D does not? Don't know that. Time to befriend a cock gun. No, I don't think so. This is 13 hours ago. Textbooks and resources. Weekly discussion thread. What the hell is this? This is a thread dedicated to collating and collecting all the great recommendations for textbooks. Hilarious. See, how to remember basic physics forever. What the hell does that mean? Okay, I studied a lot of things when I was in high school, and I really enjoyed studying physics, including electromagnetic induction, electromagnetic waves, and yeah, well, you didn't study anything real because that's all stories. Alright, anyway. Master degree in physics. Hi everyone, I'm a guy who's about to finish my 3-year degree in physics. Since I'm choosing my master's program, I was hoping someone could tell me if they picked the electronics physics curriculum, maybe sharing their experience and what kind of job and path prepares you for. Right now it's my first choice, but I am still on the fence. Well, I would figure that computers are going to do most of that from now on. What is a great way to understand phase in condensed matter physics? No good way. Is it common and well practiced to publish your papers to GitHub? By this I mean the LaTeX source code, PDF, and supplemental materials such as the code for simulations after the preprint on the whatever that is, of course. I don't know. Where to publish is kind of a good argument. There's no, the fact that there isn't any real place to go publish just because there is no place to have an unbiased editorial review. I wanted to know more about how strings move. Ooh, that's disgusting. Chinese scientists develop high performance. I don't know. That doesn't have anything to do with anything. Alright, let's see what this is supposed to be, this image. X-ray discovery. Okay, shows how innovation lives on in today's X-ray tubes. Yeah, I don't think he shows that. Let's see, 1 day ago. So this isn't some kind of tangled bullshit of NASA's. Yeah, neutron stars. Oh yeah, I'm sure they took a picture of that. Let's see. CanSat UK. I wonder what that is. Pretty soon you say CanSat. Some support us on our journey to launch our CanSat to find a real insight into this. We have 2 missions to complete. Whatever all that crap is. Research advice. Now, I have a really cool magnet physics simulator with particles, circles, and bar magnets. Okay. I don't think so, but let's go ahead and see what that is. 404, file not found. Yeah, so that was a good one. Thanks, great link. Okay. Let's see, a job as a physicist without a real physics degree. It kind of feels wrong. I guess it's imposter syndrome, but still. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I got into residency at a hospital. I guess I'm going to be a medical physicist. But calling myself one feels wrong. Yeah, you're some sort of technician, frankly. Let's see. Mathematical physics, who cares? Career education question, who cares? Ultimate game, blah, 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 who cares? Do constraints really exist in physics? Oh, fuck. What the hell would constraints even mean? There's laws. That's what there are. Finally quitting my PhD. There you go. That's it. It was nice doing research in nonlinear dynamics, whatever that would be. I got to work with a supervisor who used to work under German Nobel laureate, but after one publication in the I decided to leave. I realized that life was not for me. When my aunt passed away, I was working 10 hours in the lab and traveling home to her. Cremation was too expensive. I had to work for 10 to 12 hours a day when I realized I could be making more money elsewhere for half the work. So I actually started by taking only a semester break last autumn. I spent the time tutoring high school students. A month ago, I finally got a job with a government that pays much more. I don't even know what all that bullshit is. So he's claiming that his PhD is a waste of time. Okay. Let's see. Is temperature... Let's see. Block the sun for a week. This might be interesting. What if I build a satellite that has a huge piece of heat-reflecting material packed into it, and when it goes into space, it unfolds. We place it in space in such a way that it blocks or reduces the sunlight for a specific time to reverse global warming. Long shot, but I wanted to see... yeah, well, it's already... people have talked about doing that. But yeah, it's an awful lot of, you're gonna have to devote a lot of resources to it. Let's see, from a recent posting about Voyager 1 and 2, who cares about that shit? Why weren't transposing a matrix tensor notation? Oh, fuck that. Stopping sound completely. Is there anything out there like a device or sort that can stop sound in general, or at least reduce it to the point where it can't barely be heard? Yes, a vacuum does that. Old news. I'm a writer and a protagonist in my story as a nuclear physicist. I want to make his job authentic. So for any nuclear physicists out there, what kind of places do you work at? And what are... Oh, shit. Not interesting. Alright. Quantum mechanics, not interesting. I got my hands on a superconductor. What should I do with it? Yeah, I guess you'll have to spend a bunch of money cooling it. Rocket launch simulator. Looking for feedback on physics modeling. So, you know, what's the point, you know, of, you know, people going to simulate something? It's got to have something to do with, you know, actual real mechanics. And, you know, that's the part where, well, how do I know you did any of that? So I have to select a mission. No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, your mission selector. Yeah, well, start normal control. Okay. Launch. Where do I hit to launch it? How do I launch it? Make it go. No, well, never mind. Not a point in it. No point. Okay. So it probably won't have anything to do with reality, but who knows? I won't know. Alright, quantum fields, condensed matter exam, tried to make a perpetuity black hole. Yeah, I went this stupid black hole crap. Alright, remove backgrounds on images, APS. Joined the APS a while ago. I don't even know what that is. I am trying to gather a society on the internet. I don't know, APS. Schrodinger visualization. Does anyone have or could possibly make me a 3D demos graph showing the probability distribution of an electron position? Well, they won't do it by any rational definitions. What's a good order to study physics? What's a good order to study physics? Yeah. What topics would you recommend a beginner to start with? Isn't that funny? Let's see. I'm not sure this would be fun. Funny, very basic quantum physics. So, you know, quantum physics game. Well, anyway, this is all a waste of my time, I think. But yeah, it is just so irritating. No reason to censor my comments. None whatsoever. So they're showing icicles pointed in the upward direction. Obviously the piece of ice spun on the round surface. They can't make icicles going up in that direction, so not that complicated. Let's see, why is acceleration fundamental? Why is force equals mass times acceleration? Why not mass times velocity jerk divided by 4 time derivative of position? Why do bodies interact with acceleration? Only if you have some function of acceleration you can use that to find the function for other time derivatives of position. So all of this crap of all these derivatives, you don't need any of this crap. Twice the force, twice the motion. I mean, this is not complicated. Holy shit, this is shithead's silly video. Ew. This is blue moonshine. So he calls themselves You Designer Drawer. How slide rules help put men on the moon. He's supposed to be doing, you know, 4 rubber band experiment. But I mean, yeah, gross. So apparently he's got some clout in this shithole. So what is the strangest reaction someone has ever had to you doing physics? Right, that's a different conversation. So he just posted this shitty video, and that's okay. You can just post a shitty video with no comments. You're just posting a shitty video. Yeah, let's see if there's any comments. All right, let's see what this says. Before calculators lived in our pockets, so who could care about this archaic technology? Nobody. Engineers carried a different kind of computer. A slide rule helped design bridges, aircraft. So again, it's just a mathematical ciphering tool. It's just, and so what? You can press a button on a calculator now, get the answer in a millisecond. All right, we begin with a quick look at how slide rule supported the engineer of the Apollo era. So again, this is just such bullshit, you know. I'm sure the calculators, they had lots of calculators, the NASA engineers that landed on the moon. But by helping people think, estimate, and design with confidence, then we dive into the basics, how to read the scale, who cares, who cares, who cares. Finally, we will learn the core skills to make slide rule powerful. This is just who cares. Want to practice without owning a slide rule? Oh, you could do a slide rule simulator. Wow, won't that be so much fun? Ooh, I can ride the slide rule simulator. I can't wait to get to Disneyland. Oh, wait a minute. They don't have that, right? There's no fucking simulator. All right, that's just so ridiculous. Let's see. I actually have a slide rule from my dad. Yeah, I have one for mine, too. It was my grandpa's. Well, mine wasn't my grandpa's. I've been toying for years with the idea of learning how to use it. Oh, whatever. Mine's buried under a pile of crap. The circular ones are a little easier to use. So that's the big fun. So somebody deleted something. So, comment deleted by user. Okay, I'm sure they could, but in this case, the story literally is putting men on the moon using slide rules back in the 60s when women were barely allowed to even have a desk job. Hopefully one day we will return to the moon. Why? And women will get the opportunity like they should have last time too. So I'm sure that's just useless mush. Ugh, whatever. I mean, no one should be prevented, but I mean, obviously, the number of women who went to college in the 60s was like 4, compared to now, where more women than men actually go to college. So, I mean, it's just a completely different world. You wouldn't want women doing, space science back in the 60s because not too many of them had any skills. Oh. Alright, anyway. So, yeah, it's just terrible, the moderation crap. We have run this into this problem everywhere. You cannot have these conversations, and it's really annoying. And the threads need to stay open, and they need to be argued to some sort of terminal end, some kind of real final statement where they admit the simple obvious that they can't produce any credible evidence. They don't need evidence to believe. They believe because they're religious people, not scientists. When you believe it without evidence, you're not doing science, frankly. You got to either explain it logically or you have to be able to show it. And they can't do either one. Again, they can't show how gravity is not a time-dependent force. I mean, it's so obviously time-dependent. It is literally stated to be 9.8 meters per second over 1 second. It comes in 1 second units. 1 second units of time produce that velocity. Absolute, undeniable fact. And it's somehow they get away with denying it. They're saying, how can they get away with that? Alright, so this is some sort of, like I said, this is Blue Moonshine promoting his own horse shit. So let me just make sure of this name. Designer Drawer 3462. That's his name. Sheesh. Alright, what a pile of crap. Let's see what else he's done. Alright, so it's got a little girly icon. So that fits. Yeah. Engineering porn. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Did you print scales that are given in order to help follow the tutorial? The link is on this page. I don't know why somebody would be interested in any of that. Weird. Engineering porn. Why is there this guy? I don't understand why this person is part of this conversation. Yes, the calculating, yes, but calculating an exponential, a tangent, or performing a root extraction with a precision of 3 significant figures will be faster with a slide rule. Says him. Anyway, learning to use a slide rule builds strong number sense with calculator. So why isn't this crap on the actual video? Learning to use a slide rule builds strong. Who cares? Man on the Moon, Part 1. How come it's listed here twice? So he listed it in more than one subject. So he put it in engineering porn. I don't even know what that is. I mean, that's scary that they actually have a category called engineering porn. And then they have old cool school. So whatever that is. So he posted this same shitty video to all these categories. And I can't open one single thread. Yeah. Okay. So this is Apollo. I mean, it's so distant. Use it. Presuming to say that there was a bunch of NASA engineers busily using their slide rules. It's just says him. I don't remember. I saw the moon landing on TV. You could see the technicians with their computer screens. I didn't see anybody with a slide rule. So anyway, too silly. Look at all these categories they have. Science and cool things. Science and cool things. So, and there's Ask Physics again. Let's see. What are some ways to calculate acceleration due to gravity? What are some ways to calculate the acceleration due to gravity? Here is a sample method anyone can do at home in order to obtain g with 3 significant figures. So again, this is his own video. That's an absolute pile of horse shit. You don't calculate anything real, because you don't measure anything real. So here it is again, another one of his videos. So this is the one where he's doxing me. Ridiculous, another doxing video. So what categories are these in? Time travel? He's got his silly cat thing, this wacky theory for which he has zero physical evidence of any of the thing that he's claiming. Oh, I'll have to go comment there. Look at all this crap. So amazing. Amazing bullshit. Alright, so he's got a bunch of trash talk in here. So I don't know. So they trash talk in some kind of separate place? Yeah. Stupid goofball. Why would you let people do this crap anyway? This doxing, abuse of some other person with lies and bullshit. Amazing. And to all these different categories he gets away with this. Posting this crap to these different categories. So it says this is Blue Moonshine. So now it's got his other name on it. Why is the other name on it? And he's got another account, another one with my name in the title. Why is that a subject? Wow, that's really poor taste. Really bad. So he's making chloroform at home and showing a woman being chloroformed. And somebody doesn't think there's something wrong with that? I mean, actually look at that video icon. He's telling people how to make chloroform and showing someone chloroforming a woman. Like, they're going to rape her or murder her. Why would that even be something the law wouldn't be interested in? I mean, why wouldn't the FBI be interested in people do this? Post this kind of a video. The law should be very interested in somebody who's trying to help people, commit crimes, facilitate the commission of a crime. And that's all he's implying here. He's showing the commission of a crime. He's not showing anything else, right? It's a crime to shove chloroform in some woman's face. That's a crime. He's illustrating a crime and saying, here, this is how to commit the crime. I mean, what a despicable pile of human pus. Amazing that this asshole gets away with this shit. So this they can post. This you can post on Reddit. But you can't ask them a simple question, do you have any evidence for what you claim to be true? Can you show me the evidence? Now, you can't ask them that, but they can do all this kind of crap. All right. Well, I'll definitely keep an eye on that. We'll put that somewhere to bookmark for later use. Disgusting. He gets away with that shit. And the moderators do nothing. I mean, it's just amazing. The moderators do absolutely nothing. You can do this. You can take slanderous crap, put it up on Reddit, and it's fine. But if you want to ask an honest physics inquiry, and you're just saying, you have to really show me something. You can't lie to me. You can't fool me. So give me a real answer, okay? And but I'm not going to just sit there and say yes, you're right when you're not. I have no obligation to say yes, you're right when you're not right. All right, yeah, okay. Someday, these people really should get what they deserve. Which isn't something fun. Yeah, they deserve something not fun. People are goddamn evil. It appears that my pop-up window is missing. Wonder what happened to that. I don't know. Let's see if it'll pop up now. There it is. Let's see. Looks like different users posting the same video. Well, yeah, I think he's got more than one account. A lot of people, irrelevant threads, and the moderators are always one-sided. I have no idea how these people get to control what is posted. It's unfortunate how you can't have arguments in comment sections without the platform removing you and your comment. Yes, it's not unfortunate. It's an absolute functional disaster. It's the destruction. That's one of the things civilization needs to always have, is this open idea. So as soon as you can't have the battlefield of ideas, as soon as you can't have this arena of, two men enter, one man leaves kind of thing, two ideas enter, one idea leaves. If you're not going to have a fair fight, then you're not going to have a decent civilization, because the bad guys won't win. I mean, the good guys won't win, and so yeah, you've destroyed the mechanism that produces positive evolution in a society, and that's to have a real test. All claims should be tested. Rigorously. Yeah. So, let's see, 5 people, not too much. So, again, I'll have to concede that, yeah. So what I think I might do in the future is I'll just make videos and then play the video in a live room, just in case somebody wants to comment or something like that. And, give people the opportunity anyway. But I won't sit there and try to, make a longer video. But yeah, what is this allowing people to do this, to dox other people? Why would they allow people to do that? I mean, that's just disgusting. So I guess if you join, so moderator of these communities, so he's actually a moderator. Disgusting. This pile of scum is a moderator. Disgusting. Just absolutely disgusting. What the hell is this? Designer drawer. None of this makes any sense. Is there any way to make sense out of this? What the fuck does that mean? Social links, Blue Moonshine. Why would this be so? It's obviously Blue Moonshine has this fake account. So why is he allowed to have these fake accounts under fake names and yet use other people's real names? So I guess I can I can post a thread and use his real name in the thread. So that's what he's claiming I can do. Alright, maybe that's what I'll do then. I'll make a bunch of fake statements about this fucking psycho physicist and wonder should these psycho crazies be allowed to function on the internet. Just take a picture of that chloroform thing and ask the question, should videos about making chloroform be something promoted by Reddit? How-to videos, how to rape women, should people have those videos online? Is that supposed to be a thing? Amazing. It really is amazing. Well, I guess I have to figure out how this fucking shithole works. Moderator of these communities. He has a community that's called himself that has 3 members. So he actually has a community called Blue Moonshine. And then when he's talking about somebody else, he uses their real name. Yeah, I mean, isn't that just disgusting? I mean, just putridly disgusting. Alright, well, maybe I'll find some moderator and just say, what the hell is that shit? Let's see if there's a place here somewhere to post a complaint. Feed options, no. Social links, moderator, policy, user agreement, accessibility, no, that's what I want. Let's see if there's something here where I can make a complaint. No, this goes on forever. Okay, well, I'm not going to find it at the bottom of the page, obviously. I've got to find it somewhere else. Let's see, about advertise, develop, beta, help, blog, careers, press, communities. Yeah. Let's see, privacy policy. I don't think that's useful. Your privacy choices. I don't know whether that's useful either. Let's see. There's got to be somewhere to complain. Oh, I guess I might have to sign in. Yeah. And there might be something. Okay. This is bullshit. Alright. Well, I guess that's enough. And such. So, till the next time, and such and so forth, and whatnot. Wish there were more people to involve, but there just aren't any. Unfortunately. In years of doing this, I mean, can't find a single physics-educated person to admit that the evidence is underdeveloped. That they really can't show any of this crap to be true. They claim this crap, but they can't show any of the crap to be true. Even, you can go all the way to quarks and all kinds of all that. They can't really show you any real evidence of any of this crap. Disgusting. Alright, get the hell out of here. So, till the next time and such.